Well, I've even noticed a difference in like when I make because the problem is like, these places had a boogeyman and a lot of them were willing to be unprofitable. I mean, these ones we're talking about, it revived them, but there were some places, corporations that were still willing to like take the hit and almost go unprofitable.
Yeah, well, go broke.
And it's a little harder to do that without the boogeyman. I've even noticed with my videos, if people would before, like originally when you laugh at something, you'd be like, is this funny? Where now you go, is it on the right side? Okay, now I can decide whether to laugh
I
or
don't
not.
do that. I laugh.
I don't think most people did that, but a lot of people do.
I've got a picture downstairs of Donald Trump, and he's like a little tiny person,
nude,
and he's like he's got his hands behind his back. It's from George Alexopoulos and the Secret Service.
Penis signed.
They're like no, it's a comic, and they're like, Mr. Trump, are you ready to win tonight's debate? And then they lift him up, and he's really small, and they put him into a mech suit. And like steam comes out, and then he straightens his tie, and then he goes bigly. Like you can make fun of Trump if you're actually making fun of him. Like drawing a fat, sad Trump with tiny hands is not a joke. It's like it's just a tribal signal. It's like, hey, I'm like you. Look, the thing. You make an actual funny joke about Trump, they love it. There's like Trump makes fun of himself, and even Trump supporters love it when he's self-deprecating because he owns it. You know what I mean? On the left, am I on the right side? Is the joke allowed?
Well, there's two parts of it. Like for the first part, like I said, I've noticed that people have lost that a little bit. They'll just laugh first because they're like it's a little because they feel like they won. No, but some people that feel like they've won now that Trump's gone, I'm noticing them sort of being like, oh, I can just laugh. I can laugh again. Like they almost feel like that. But the second part, the difference between like the right and the left humor is when you talk about things that were crazy jokes, that when they talk about like even censorship, like crazy jokes on the right, crazy jokes on the left, things that you're like not okay with. The difference is when you're talking about the right, it's like a guy yelling it on BitChute for like 40 people to hear. When it's on the left, it's like, this is
Netflix special.
Yeah, or like, Dove soap or whatever, right? So I think that's why one's a little more aggressive.
Institutional power versus some random guy. And you know what I think too? It's what we're seeing with Trump. I think Trump sort of jumped in front of everybody to like as the bolt was being fired in a figurative sense, because the media has been going after small random internet people for a really, really long time. Yeah. So it's like some random guy on BitChute will be like, here's my rant. And they're going to be like, BitChute is hosting extremists. They should be shut down. And it's like, dude, the guy's got like 40 views. Leave him alone.
Where else is he going to go? Yeah.
But then they use institutional power. And it's basically like they made a demand. Hey, this is racist. And then everyone said, okay, you got it. Well, that's racist too. You got it. And they just keep going. And it's like they're just literally hammering whatever they can find, any tiny smidgen of offense. So they're chasing it to the darkest corners of the web and then screaming about it at the top of their lungs.
Yeah, which is how you get rid of racism, actually.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's
yeah.
generally. It's like,
I mean, honestly,
like
they
when you
think
put
that.
the bad kids all in one class, that usually sorts it out.
Sorts it right out.
They probably think that. That they're chasing it down and destroying it, and it's like
they just don't want to hear it. It's like they think a lot of these people feel like it was war, right? And if you think about that, and you're like at war, and imagine I'm there like trying to make jokes about our general, like we're about to go kill these people, and I'm like, general's looking a little sleepy today, right? And everyone's like, dude, we're about to go like try to kill these people, like not the time. And I'm like, yeah, but like check it out, like bad pants, and no one wants to hear any jokes, right?
Right.
But if I was to be like, look at their general, like I can barely speak, everyone would be like, ah.
You just described what Michael Malice was explaining the other day on the show about the Soviet Union.
Wow.
Where he said that, some American was explaining you could go into the Oval Office, pound on Reagan's desk and say, I think Reagan is doing a terrible job. And then the Soviet guy was like, oh, you can do the same thing in the Soviet Union. You go to the Red Square, you hang on the table. I think Ronald Reagan is doing a terrible job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's is it kind of weird that we're comparing the Soviet Union to these people or these people to the Soviet Union?
No, yeah.
It's not weird at all. It's scary.
It all and it all boils down to kind of the, what you think the purpose of comedy or what, but they wanted to collect all these properties, right? It's like, we need to collect music. And I think music's a little easier of a sell. Because if you're a singer and they go, okay, you can't sing about this, and you go, whatever. The lyrics are one part of it, but really it's like my songs are still the same and I can kind of be the same.
With the ba and bop.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? So, but with comedy, unfortunately, like you're speaking, so I think comedy gave itself up a little harder, so they had a harder time collecting that property, where they collected the universities, they collected music, they collected advertising, and I think comedy was a little harder for them to scoop up, which is why it became such a contentious issue.
Comedy is one of the most powerful tools in opposing authoritarianism. That's why they hate it, and it's so hard for them to conquer. if they want their, lockdown or whatever, comedy is making fun of things all the time, and it depowers a lot of the stuff.
Right.
It takes power away. It ridicules it, makes it seem weaker in a sense. That's why making fun of things works. So they need that. If you have a top-down authoritarian culture, what's the one thing everyone can get if you tell a joke? So like you're in, the Soviet Union and everyone has a problem with hot water, and you make a joke about hot water because it's relatable to everybody and they all laugh. They get mad at you because they're like, you're criticizing us and the authority in the system. They're not, I don't see how they're going to be able to get through, like this wokeness. I don't see how it gets past the Constitution.
Well, it doesn't, but the demands on certain levels of speech are too debilitating. Like I said, like there's certain things you go, hey, if you're going to run a company, you run ads, you got to say this. And they go, okay, whatever. It doesn't really change us fundamentally. We're selling t-shirts or whatever. But if you say this about comedy, which is essentially noticing trends or, noticing sociological, let's say I notice that one group does this and one group does this, and they go, yeah, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. So it's like the demands on, speech oriented fields, like what you do of talking 4 hours a day or whatever, like all these demands are like debilitating to what you're doing. So that's why it's like harder for them to collect those, which is why those are always the linchpins that they try to take care of, right? Whenever like authoritarianism comes down, it's like always first we want to get rid of like jokes about the wrong things, and we want to get rid of observations about the wrong things.
Yep. And they're trying, but I don't know if I don't know if it can work. So
they want to make it illegal to notice things.
No, but for real, because you can do comedy without even like you can deliver a comedy without acting or doing a bit in a sense. When you think about a joke, it's like someone is telling you a joke. They are. You can literally make people laugh by just talking about normal things, and so you can have an idea. So then they need to control the ideas themselves. And that's probably a part of what cancel culture is. It's like psychological terrorism. We'll destroy your life if you step on the wrong twig. That's why I was saying it's like the Silent Hill nurses. Like, as soon as you make a noise, they just go wild and start swinging like crazy. Who would want to be in with these people? Why would you want to be in these universities? It's like you're walking down the hallway and then you're like sweating and you're looking around and then you step on a twig and you go, oh geez. And then they all go, ah, and they like jump out of the walls and they're like latching on you like, ah, and I would just leave. I'll leave. I don't want to be there. I'll just, or I'll purposely throw the twig, throw rocks into the room so they all go.
You hit the nail on the head. Like when you make the equations of how these operate, there is like an equation that involves how not okay it is to say, right? Yeah. So that's a lot of times, if you go, this is the thing you can't say, you just made it like super funny, right? So right. It's like they're also involved in the equation. It's kind of like that idea of like
the fat gross thing joke you just made.
It's like the fat gross joke.
Yeah. Is that
all of your moms?
Lizzo, you said, is a. What did you say? She was a huge inspiration.
The
fat and gross
beautiful
movement.
queen.
Yes.
See, you wouldn't normally say that until they made it about.
No, it wouldn't be funny. Yeah.
Right now, it's only funny because it's like pointing
naughty.
Out.
I mean, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
Naughty.
I mean, that makes it like
it's
adorable.
Transgressive. Yeah.
Yeah, transgressive.
Yeah.
Offensive.
That's the word.
Well, I mean, listen, if you were in, let's say, Saudi Arabia, and they go, the one guy you can't talk about is this. Like if you were 10 years old and you're like, that guy's you make a little joke about that guy. That's the funniest person to make a joke about.
Well, yeah, of course.
How is Family Guy still on the air?
Because
I know that they've changed it. They announced like a couple years ago they wouldn't do gay jokes anymore. So they've certainly changed it.
They're not going to do jokes that are gay or
both. Both.
We have a system in the writing room. If anyone says, "Oh, that's gay," then we don't do it. We're on the.
But that's it. Yeah.
No gay stuff.
But dude, you watch the old episodes, and I'm like, there was a joke. We were just watching a rerun, and Peter said something about they do the callback jokes. And he was like, that was like the time that I was helping the band Huey Lewis and the Jews. And then the guy, the song, we don't need money. And then the band members go, we quit, and they walk out. Like that joke is like by today's standards. Could you tell that joke?
So
like that's cancelable, but it's on TV every day on numerous channels.
Well, I think, people always just make their changes. Like a lot of people, kind of the same way that people are moving to different places right now with the COVID. People are making their changes. And if you look around, people like you have started their own thing and everyone's kind of been making moves based on, what they say you can and what you can't do. But I do all those jokes in comedy clubs. I do,
yeah.
I say aggressive stuff, but there's that rung where YouTube's going to be like, you're done.
I guess the issue is is the mob going to notice you? Because what'll happen is these clubs are probably going to be like, hey man, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with your jokes. I just can't afford it if they come and start throwing stuff. You know what I mean?
It is.
And what do you do? What do you like? So you performed at a bunch of clubs, yeah?
Yeah.
And you know the managers or the owners.
Yeah.
You're like cool with them. What if one of them came to you and said, dude, I don't want to cancel you, but like our phone's ringing off the hook. They're threatening our patrons. Like, we can't have this, man. What do we do?
I think a lot of comedy club owners will stand up for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what, that happened to like Ari Shaffir, and they called like 150 people called when he did like the Kobe joke, and people went crazy. And the people at the stand were like, they're like, they just forward him. They'd be like, "This is hilarious." I mean,
play him on the show.
But what are you gonna do? It's a comedy club. Like, it's just press. But it's not that. It's like they'll take your TV shows away. They'll take all that stuff. But if you're in the comedy club, is like the one place it's hard for them to take, except for like a very few things.
Yeah, this is the bigger issue. I think is like people. I guess people might assume it's more nefarious in a lot of ways. Like, I'm sure even when it comes to TV shows getting canceled, something like that. The dude who's like at the network isn't going like, how dare you say that we're banning you? He's probably going like, I'm really sorry this is happening, man, but our sponsors are pulling out. We're losing money.
Laughed.
What do we do? And then it's like, sorry, you're out because we're losing money.
McFarlane's part of the cult of Biden, anti-Trump, so that's why they haven't knocked Family Guy off TV.
Really low information guy. Like a lot of these people. But I'm not trying to be mean, but like something happened where there was a period where like Seth MacFarlane knew stuff. Like, he has a Family Guy joke where Stewie's running naked through the mall going, I just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. And then he made a joke about Harvey Weinstein. So people were always making the joke like, what did Seth MacFarlane know? Because apparently he was supposed to be on a plane.
He doesn't write the show himself.
Right. So it's
Tim, let me tell you how the TV writing room happens.
You walk in and say, my name's on the show, get to work, I'm going to grab lunch.
Hey, can you guys work any harder? The Homer Simpson style.
Yeah. Seth MacFarlane, wasn't he supposed to be on a plane on 9/11? And then he like didn't get on the plane or something?
Yeah, I bought him the ticket, but then it didn't work out the way
there's
that
like,
I planned.
There's like a conspiracy about like what he actually knows and who he's connected to. But I think there was a period where, people like Bill Maher and people like Seth MacFarlane knew stuff. They knew it was going on, and they knew better than a lot of people. And so they were able to make jokes that were topical and funny, and they could make good points. And then at some point, they just totally gave up. And now they just like, it's remarkable how behind the times Bill Maher is, for instance.
I think everyone, it's very hard to be 55 and like crazy on the pulse.
Yep.
So I think that's just the same way that you probably aren't on the same pulse about what the new music is. I think culturally...
the new music. It's this great song by Tim Pool.
It's the one... Yeah, it's true.
It's the newest. It's the best.
So what I like the song, like the video. Very cool.
I think...
Support my upcoming artist, Tim
I agree.
Pool.
That's right.
I agree, but it is a lot...
14 plays on SoundCloud.
It's not about what the new music is, because there's certainly new music that I would listen to that a 15-year-old wouldn't. It's about, you might not know what Gen Z is doing with TikTok and the songs they like.
Yeah.
But that's just their community. So you have yours. When it comes to news, it's about being factually correct. And I think, I'll tell you, there's this phenomenon that we see in skateboarding that we've all, like me and like all skateboarders know this. Amateur skateboarders. It doesn't mean what people think it means. It means quite literally you're paid to skate. You just don't have your own signature model. Amateur skateboarders are insanely good, like some of the best skateboarders in the world. Once they sign that pro contract, their skill level drops substantially. You know why? Because they don't got to do it anymore. They're already pro. Well, they don't stop, but it's like, if you want to
go... They don't grind like that. Comedy's the exact same way.
Yeah, once you get the show, you're comfortable, you just chill out.
I mean, the truth is, comedy sucks to do. I mean, even in COVID, so when you stop doing it and, lived like 3 months of like not really doing stand-up, you're like, oh, this is way better. Yeah, I mean, why would anyone do this?
So, I don't know. It sounds like it would be fun.
Well, I mean, you say that, but like the idea of, leaving every night, writing 2 hours, then you do 4 shows a night. And it's the same as anything, right? Like training to be like a professional athlete sucks. If you want to be in the gym 5 hours a day and then doing wind sprints, like you take days off. Like if you're like, oh, you need to take a month off that, you're like, yeah, no, this is better. That sucks to do. It's a very hard life, but you want to be the best. And it's not, to me, it's irrelevant how hard it is.
I hear what you're saying, because you're telling the same jokes like 4 times a day, right?
I was acting in Hollywood a while, but it was like up at 4 a.m. You'd work till 6 p.m. and you got paid so much money, but it was so exhausting.
No. But what I mean is, if you're doing 4 shows a night, you're doing the same set for the most part, right?
Well, I mean, I have a system. I mean, I would write I would write 2 hours in the morning, and then I would do my newest 10 minutes then, and then I would chisel that down for the sex show, and then I would chisel it down and then the end of the show, I'd have maybe a new like 20 seconds. Then the next day I'd do the exact same thing, and then
it's repetitive. You're doing the same thing.
Well,
you've got to make it sound fresh. Like you're just saying it.
Depends. Yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's the equivalent of, you could say that like a runner or like a weightlifter is like doing the exact same thing, but you're kind of tweaking it and it's a little different. It depends on how you look at, training.
You know what makes this job easy for me? Even though I do like 4 hours of talking a day, is that I'm saying something different.
Plus, you're sitting at home. You don't have to go to these junky,
that's
smoky,
the worst part of it.
Loud, dark bars in the cold.
Staying at home is actually the worst part of it.
I disagree.
That's
the worst.
What makes it the same and boring is that it's just literally here all day, every day.
Yeah, right.
What makes it
get out.
doable is that it's a different story. Something's changed. Something's happening. Here's what I think. Here's what's going on. Makes it really easy to do just, every day.
But when you really want something, I think none of that matters. Like, all that matters to me was like, at the end of that week, did I have like a new 2 minutes? Is great. Well, do I have this new joke?
Yeah.
Like, how does this? That's if that's the most important thing, then who cares about all the other stuff? I mean, you sound like a guy. I mean, you've even talked about this before, that when you were younger, you're like, I wanted to be a journalist, and you're willing to.
Oh, I didn't.
Well, remember you said, well, this is what you said, that you like, put your own money in, you sent yourself overseas, you like started doing stories, correct? Am I right?
Not when I was a little kid.
Not when you were a little kid. What did I say? When you're younger.
When I was 26 and started doing this, it wasn't so much about being a journalist, because I had no aspirations for journalism or anything like that. It was about traveling, seeing stuff, and then talking about it, which is basically, it's heart journalism.
Well, it sounds like you decided that you were going to do something, and you were.
I decided I was like, dude, it'd be really cool to fly to Spain and see what's going on.
Heck yeah.
People love traveling and seeing stuff.
I mean, I could give the press answer of comedy where you're like, so what is it like? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I just get up there, have a couple beers, whatever. That definitely
like
sounds
telling
cooler.
A story,
There is a thing where I'm always like, why do I do this? Because it is so much easier to be like, I don't know, dude. I just tell some jokes. It sounds so much cooler.
But what's the alternative? Do you just like not work? Sit around and play video games, or what?
What could I do? I mean, make videos, podcast. I mean, be in TV shows. Like, there's a million things you can do. I just mean stand up.
Do that.
Well, I mean, it's what you said.
It's the
exact same thing you said. It's like when you're skateboarding, there's a million things you could do in the skateboard community, but like spending 5 hours a day, like perfecting one trick, like, yeah, that is the hard part. The easy part is going and making commercials, doing, endorsement deals, like hanging out, doing interviews, whatever, all that stuff.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.